cold at the touch, dead in the eyes, no signs of life no more. I put your love under the knife. Leave me to die here all alone. No signs of life no more, no. A crying dove may never fly. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. No more. Black and white, just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. Just let me go. It's only right. For all I know, it's only matter. It's calico, it's black and white. White, white, white. It's black and white. Yeah. Black and white. Oh, 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 oh. It's black and white. It's black and white.
Hello everybody and welcome to Sim Racers World TV and welcome to round one of the DynamiXX Endurance Series, and we are here for the 6 hours of Spa. 3 car classes out on circuit today, LMP2s, GTEs and GT3, so lots of action to look forward to. And somebody who can enjoy it alongside me in the commentary box today, Ed May. How are you, mate?
Well, I am doing great, Jack. Sorry about that. Had to get my mic all sorted, but we are here, and what an evening's racing. What sort of afternoon's racing we're going to be having. We're going to be starting off very shortly. We've got a little while to go left in qualifying, I believe, and it is an open qualifying session, so all of the cars, all 3 classes, I believe, can go out on track together at the same time, and that's going to throw up a little bit of drama potentially in this session. I'm just trying to see what times have been coming through at the moment. Seems relatively calm, but when we get into the business end of this qualifying session, with 8 minutes to go, this is looking like it's going to be heating up.
Yeah, so lots of action out on circuit at the moment. You can see our current pole sitter, Marcus Deck for RLR Abruzzi Esports LMP, currently topping the times, 2/10 to the good over Cedric Wouters and Traxxas Esports. So small margins for what is quite a long circuit here at Spa. Lots of famous corners, lots of close racing, as always sort of happened here. There's nothing really that has stopped close racing here. You've always, whether it's just a little championship, a big championship, Formula 1, World Endurance Series, I think you can even race Citroen C1s around here for 24 hours. I think it's just the nature of the circuit. No matter what you put on this circuit, you will end up with close racing. And we're evidently seeing a close qualifying, so hopefully this is what we've got to look forward to in the 6 hours of racing shortly to come. Just going into the final few minutes of the qualifying session now. So 23 minutes into the 30, you can see the track is getting busier and busier and busier. Currently, GT pole sitter, the another RLR Abruzzi Esports team. So this is the Esports GT, the number 730 in the Porsche. Very, very nice looking livery aboard that. And GT3 pole sitter at the moment, the Rutger Weinen for Manatee Racing Red. Lots of field spread as well. When you look up at the top of your screen, you can see just between the LMP2s and the GTEs there's 10 seconds a difference between the pair of them, and then GTEs to GT3, 6 seconds between the pair of them. So traffic could play quite a big part in this race as well.
Yeah, I was just admiring as soon as we came to this Manatee Racing Red car. I'm loving the paint scheme that all of these drivers have got on display. We've seen, obviously, as you mentioned, the 2 RLI Abruzzi cars seemingly heading their 2 classes, and from what I can remember, actually, I had the joy of commentating on a top split endurance race for the Nürburgring Endurance Championship, and it was, I believe, in one of the rounds, one of the Manatee Racing cars actually in this lovely Audi R8 Element GT3 car, doing quite well. I think they managed to pick up that podium just behind some of the teams like who was it? I think it was Williams Esports Racing that, of course, would dominate that series. But Manatee Racing Red, a very good team, and it's no surprise really that they are leading the GT3 field, and it's by a decent margin by the looks of things, just over half a second to Kevin Unk in the DSCDA Esports Silver car. Again, another Audi, and it seems in the GT3 class at the very least, the Audi is the car to be in, because the top 4 are all by the quadruple ringed make.
Yeah, so definitely, like I say, the Audi is the one to have, and I mentioned field spread in terms of different class variation. However, in the GT3s, obviously we know we've got lots of different options that can be taken. The only GT3s we've got out on circuit on first glance are the Audis and the Mercedes, so clearly a German affair in the GT3 class. GTEs, for the first time, I think, on Sim Racers World TV, we have the what was at the time a very new Corvette C7 GTE. I think that's even the C8 variant, mate. A very, very nice looking machine. The DynamiXX Endurance team piloting that one around. We've got Stephen Valest in the Soul BMW. Actually, no, I tell a lie. There are 2 more BMWs just a little further down. That one there for Revolution Racing Bravo, and then Jens Goosens for Radion Motorsport by QSR2. And then if we look up here, look who's out on circuit.
Oh, it's Hasserona, and we need to, I think, to get an onboard shot of him just to see if we can get a run through of this amazing Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Here we go, on board with the man, the myth, the legend, of course, Hasserona, and we're going to be coming through the bus stop chicane now. This is where the timing line is, so he's going to see what lap he's going to do at the moment. He's currently in 8th, that was an out lap, so this is going to be his first flying lap, and immediately he has traffic to negotiate through La Source. Going to try and get the better run out of the corner, go down the Porsches inside, or go around the outside, shall we say, and do the little kink of turn through, and then most iconic stretch of circuit in motor racing history. Eau Rouge, then up the hill through Raidillon, flat out easy in these high downforce LMP2 cars. Pit exit is just on the right hand side, so something to watch out for in the race potentially. You don't want to be collected there, as it's happened to me in a few races. Then of course you come down the Kemmel Straight, plenty of time to think about the braking for Lecom, trying to ride the curbs nicely as you can do in these LMP2 cars. The curbs aren't too high, so the cars aren't too upset. Then you of course have then Roussel down the gears, try and carry the speed through. It's a long right-hander, all about trying to get the run through here, and then out through No Name, trying to use all of the circuit that you can get away with. Of course, iRacing punishes you quite heavily at this circuit for track limits, which is something to look out for. Then down through Huon, carrying plenty of speed, and then of course Piff Paff, whatever you would call it, I suppose. It's got many names, trying to negotiate the traffic, which is hampering Hasser a little bit, and he's going to be slowed up again coming through Stavolo. This is not what Hasser is wanting whatsoever. He's not going to be able to improve, I don't think, on 8th position at this rate. He has to wait all through Stavolo, and then he's got this fast, flat-out section of the track just before the bus stop chicane. Going to be coming through Blanchimont now, and this is a right trick, especially at any car with downforce. You can just curve it in, get the wheel turning, and it just seems to stick. You don't need too much wheel input on these high downforce LMP2 cars. Then again, hard onto brakes, carrying the speed through the bus stop chicane, exiting out, getting on the throttle as early as you dare, trying to avoid the wheel spin, and coming across the line. Hasaruma is going to be staying, I think, in 8th position just because of that traffic he managed to pick up.
Yeah, it's so unlucky just getting caught out there by a little bit of traffic. Sadly, Hasser's team name at the bottom not showing up. I will try and fix that as we go on. But like you say, traffic is slowly starting to play a part. We know that in the race, obviously, it will really start to hamper some of the drivers. But in qualifying, with it being open qualifying, like you said, it could pretty much shape how your race starts. At the moment, it's looking fairly clear. We'll get the track map up just so you can see whereabouts people are on circuit. So you can see there's a couple of spots behind the two cars we're looking at the moment. There's a bit of clear track on the Kemmel Straight going through Blanchimont and in towards the bus stop. There's a bit of clear track there, but other than that, it's pretty congested everywhere you go. So it's so tricky to make sure that you get in a comfortable position without any traffic to hamper your lap. At the moment, Marcus Deck still out on a lap, but Cedric Wouters, Keanu Bourguignon, Jordan McLean, Yuri Crispin and Jesse Hendricks all in the pit lane. So from P2 to P6 in the LMP2 class, everybody's in the pit lane as the checkered flag flies now at the end of the 30-minute qualifying session. Jeremy Hessels or Hasser are going to have to be the drivers to challenge for the top spot. It looks like, just a quick glance over to the left-hand side. Everybody.
Collision. Jeremy Hessels just collides with the GT3 car. Sorry to cut you off there, Jack,
right.
but that was some drama. I don't know if we can get another replay of that, but Jeremy Hessels just pushing hard, trying to get the clear air. But the GT3 car just thinks it has the apex, as we see replay. Here we go. This is Thomas Stockman's now. He's in 3rd position. He thinks that he has the corner, but no, you've got an LMP2 down your inside, and a hefty hit. I didn't see that. Into the tyre barriers, and that's his lap done and dusted. He was going to be trying to fight, I think, with the likes of Kevin Unk and Ruta Winyen in the Manti Racing cars just ahead of him. And then Jeremy Hessels, after all that, not able to improve and pulls off the circuit after the bus stop. So Soroma, I think, also came across the line not to make an improvement. In fact, no, he isn't. He stayed in 8th place. It's still Marcus Deck in the RLR Abruzzi Esports LMP car in the lead. Doesn't really need to take time and instead tries to practice pit entry.
Yeah, that could be quite key as well. Something we haven't mentioned yet. Strategy could really start to shape your race. We saw just a few weeks ago at the 24 Hours of COTA that strategy can massively affect your race, especially around here where it's such a high downforce circuit and you spend so much time flat out. Fuel management could be what saves you a lap here and there, or saves you a couple of seconds in the pit stop, which can add up over 6 hours well and truly. Sven Kalbert just on a slow lap by the looks of it, driving towards the line. I say that he does improve a 2:14.192. Did that improve his position? I'm not sure. We do have Robin Daniels also coming to the line for United Motorsport. A couple of liveries sadly haven't loaded, so I am sorry about that. But there's nothing much I can really do about that. Clearly Trading Paints not wanting to play ball. That's a great camera angle as the Porsche goes screaming by. And Robin Daniels, he looks like he's on it. Do you think it's going to be an improvement there?
It looks like it, just for how he was able to go through Blanchimont now, going to be exiting the bus stop, seems to get his line nice, not too much wheel spin. He's sitting down the order in his class. Where's that going to put him though? I think he was 13th, and I think he might be staying 13th because I can't see an improvement in the time. Maybe he picked up an off track somewhere, which is easily done, but I think that is all of the cars done for practice, so now we can look forward to the race. And as you mentioned, the strategy is going to be a massive component of this race, especially considering we're using the endurance pit lane. So if you can avoid, say, a splash and dash or avoid the penalties coming your way, that's going to be key because you spend so long going through the pit lane, and that just you hemorrhage time if you have to take an extra pit stop.
You do indeed. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. I just had to put you on a quick splash screen because I realised that from my personal online racing on iRacing, I still had the chat on. So sorry about the little bit of background noise there. And yes, strategy could massively play a part in this race. Ed, we do have the grid available for you, so we'll get that up now. Marcus Deck on the pole for RLR Abruzzi Esports, 2-minute 1.325. Cedric Wouters lines up alongside Keanu Bourguignon and Jordan McClone make up row 2. Robbie Janssens starts in 5th, Jesse Hendricks in 6th, Jeremy Hessels and Hasselheimer 7th and 8th. Vic de Blick, Frederick Vavish, Deckens, that's not right, Martin Deckens in 11th, Hendrik de Grave in 12th, and then I think we've only got one more before we get to our GTEs. Yes, so Jason Ashfield lines up in 13th. Ed, over to you for the GTEs.
Yeah, Jacob Selecki in the RLR Esports GT car on pole position. Jon van den Akker in 2nd with Odd Boland, Matthew Sufi, Casper Menges Anderson just down there in 18th place with Sven Janssens, Sven Calvert, the two Svens lining up side by side. Then Bram van Houten, Sven Velest, Daniel Vidal and Peter Lemkens. Then further down we can see Jon van der Lempt alongside Robin Daniels. And then the last row of GTEs, Jens Goossens and Tees Ease.
It's supposed to be, yeah, it's supposed to be Luke Tees, but it's not showing up correctly. And then on GT3 pole position, it is Rutger Wijnen with Kevin Onk alongside. Thomas Stockmans starts in 31st, Robin DeVille 32nd, then it's Christoph Reis. I've just lost track where I am. There we go. So Gregor Ajd, Sebastian Herber, Camille Yagi-Soglu will go down another couple of rows, and you can see that is the end of the grid. Ross Nicholson, Dennis Laux, Nicholas Poilart, Niels de Kuiper, Greg Parmenter, and then I think we do actually get to a GT3, however it's showing up as an LMP2. It's showing up as an LMP2.
Did not set a time.
I think
it is. I'm looking on SDK and it isn't Delara. I don't think Gilbon was able to set a lap time, and I think the two cars behind him as well, Dieter Denif and Yori Stoop, also weren't able to set times there, Jack.
No, so
see the cars moving, and we see an LMP2 carving its way through the GTs further back, trying to get all the way through up to the front where it is able to get to, but short run to the line. We're going to be getting started, I think, very shortly. We're just waiting for the green flag to fly. Marcus Deck is going to be setting the pace for this lap. I don't know if we get a full pace lap or if we're going to get a partial one, maybe down out after the first corner. Can't be getting a full. Are we getting a full pace lap, Jack, do you reckon?
I think they might just go off this start line here. You can see there is the safety car.
Side, yes.
So the very long pit lane here at Spa, and I think we are going to get green or go green in a few seconds. There you go. Marcus Deck puts his foot to the floor and roars towards Eau Rouge, 3 wide in the background almost. So Marcus Deck takes the lead. Very close stuff in the background. That was Keanu Bourguignon and Cedric Wouters almost coming together. Jordan McClone looking to work his way up through the order from 4th, Jesse Hendricks, Robbie Janssens, Jeremy Hessels, Hasselheimer, Frederick Vavish. I think we might have had a change for the lead. We have indeed. Look at that. Cedric Wouters all the way around the outside. That's a massive GTE crash. Good spot there.
Yeah, the GT is having a big accident. I think that might have been Jordan Heiser just getting loose out over Eau Rouge there, Radion. And then Ronald Moons as well. That happened much later, actually, after Rally On. I don't know if there was contact. Oh, he just tried to avoid it. Got a wheel out onto the grass, onto the wall. And, oh, that's a massive incident in the GTE field. Are we going to be able to see Ronald Moons get out safely after that? Or will the GT3s get caught up in that? I think the GT3s just managed to get through that safely because very smartly the GTEs involved in that accident stayed well off onto the sides of the tracks. But we're seeing now Martin Deckens getting down the inside of the 34 car. In fact, we're going to see Martin Deckens again going wheel to wheel with that 34. In fact, slides massively down through Bruxelles. Does well to hold the car, does well to not really get contact. The car seems to be in one piece. Nice avoiding action. We're going back live, and again Martin Deckens is trying to make places, and he's actually behind one of the GT3s. And oh, drama at the front. Jeremy Hessel's involved in something. We're going to see exactly what happened, what to cause that. He's facing the wrong direction. He's going to rejoin safely. Oh, the GT is getting very close around his outside. I think he just takes too much curb yet, and the rear just seems to pirouette around. He managed to lock the brakes though to keep the momentum going, keep himself out over the walls. But this has been a dramatic opening laps, especially in the GTE field. I'm having a look at my SDK, and they are all out of sorts. We've got LMP2s behind them. They're going to have to carve their way through, as we're seeing now. And oh, Frederick Verviche, he's going to almost a crawl here. Oh no, this is a high-speed area of the track. You don't want to have a mistake. Does he keep out the wall? Oh my word, I think he's done it. Oh, and that's ruined just by contact with the wall. That was going to be an amazing save if he could have pulled it off there, Jack.
Yeah, so a very busy race for everyone involved. Cedric Wouters still remaining in the lead, but lots of crashes everywhere else and a few little clumsy incidents at the start of an endurance event. Not what you want. This is Sven Janssens, 14th overall, third in class, using a bit of draft from the LMP2 ahead, but he's under pressure here from Jakub Zalewski, pardon me, for RLR Esports GT. He's gone to the right-hand side. That will become the inside for Lecom, and on the brakes, he's got that position made. Back to the GT3s, though. They've had quite a quiet start, very tame from them. Matthias de Haan leading the way from Kevin Onk. We saw him out at the 24 Hours of Kota, also behind the wheel of a DSCDA Esports Audi. Then it's Olivier Verhoek in the Team MRS Audi. Then it's Hans Polmans, and then finally we do get to the absolute train of Mercedes. However, I don't want to look away from this battle, because look at this. This is Hans Polmans now trying to defend from Olivier Verhoek and Team MRS. Have a little look up the inside, and you can see he's also trying to get one over on Hans Polmans in front. But from the GT3s, it's been pretty tame, and it's nice to see. And we've still got Jesse Hendricks and Jeremy Hessels, both the DynamiXX LMP2s, trying to carve their way back up through the GTEs to get back in with their LMP2 mates. Yeah,
they are, and it's going to be Jeremy Hessels trying to get around. That was Matthew Sufi, driving second place in the GT, and they're just in front. That is Jon van den Akker. Van den Akker's now in the lead of the GTE field, so there's been a change for the lead there. I'm not sure if something has happened potentially to our RLR Esports GT cars, because they were the pole sitters, and they're down 2 positions. Jon van den Akker's up 2 positions actually in his class. I think he started 3rd overall. In fact, we're going to see what happens here.
Oh, no.
Sven Verleest potentially. Oh, we're going to try and find something. This is Jordan Heiss. Oh, just down through P1. And it's easy to do. You get the rear of the car, trying to break traction with the front. It's a high-speed corner if you don't have the car planted, especially on cold tyres that you can get in the opening phases of an endurance race. It's very easily done. I've done it numerous times. Too many to count. Further in front, though, we're still seeing battles for the lead. In fact, we're seeing battles everywhere we look, because Martin Deckens now is going to try and get alongside Gert Diebsborn, and he's going to get there. I think he's going to have the inside as well for Lecom, and if he gets on the brakes late enough, that's going to be his position. I don't think Gert's going to be fighting that. No, he's not. So he's going to slot back down into 10th place, try and cut his losses, and then focus more on the long con, on the long con, shall we say.
Yeah, so lots for the drivers to think about. You think, well, you lose that position, you want to make sure you can defend and stay there. However, at the start of a 6-hour race, only 5 minutes in, you've got to remember you are in for the long haul. You've got to make sure you keep the car nice and clean and drivable for your team. In the background, though, still battles raging away. This is back to the GT3 field. This is Olivier Verhoek in the number 11 Audi, losing out now to what was 2 Mercedes, the first being Christophe Reis in the Flemish Sim Sports entry. Sadly, the beautiful Flemish Sim Sport that he hasn't loaded on number 12 machine, and the 666 of Gregor Ajd for IES Sim Racing Schweiz. He has also managed to get by, promoting himself up into 5th in class. So for Olivier Verheerk, he's only going backwards, and he's under pressure from Kamil Yagizoglu now as well. So lots of drivers slowly starting to seep through the cracks. Although you've had a good qualifying, it might not come to you in the race, and that could just be getting into your rhythm a bit later on than a couple of other drivers. Possibly strategy as well. There's no point battling for these positions just as yet. Let the race come to you, maybe.
Yeah, it also seems that it could be a factor of the car. As we mentioned, there are only 2 cars on display in the GT3 field, the Mercedes and the Audi, but it seems to me that the Mercedes at the moment is the better race car. It's just more consistent, more planted, a more stable platform, which is what you really need for endurance racing. Of course, it has as well the straight line grunt, so especially down the Kemmel Straight, getting into the slipstream, you will be gaining positions, just as Jason Ashfield is trying to hold off on losing position actually, because he's got the 14 of Keanu Bourguignon right behind him, the Flemish Sim Sports LMP2 car, trying to see if there's any way past. Down the Kemmel Straight, he darts to the inside, another move maybe onto the brakes, and in fact I think that was potentially a lift from Jason Ashfield into gone, and then through Bruxelles, change for the lead. Marcus Deck, the Arla Abruzzi Esports GT car, now, or LMP car I should rather say, now up into the lead of the race, and this was a move that was already started. Oh, drama, that was a bit loose from Marcus Deck. He managed to hold onto the car. That was almost certainly going to end in tears if he wasn't able to control his car, and he was just about able to do so. Fighting at the front of the field, Cedric Wouters was not wanting to give up first place, but sadly I think he was forced into that by Marcus Deck.
We have also had a change for the lead as well in the GTEs. So RLR Abruzzi clearly listening when you mentioned them earlier, Ed. They've gone, right, okay, you think we're not going to be in the lead? Well, let me show you. And they've just done that. Jakub Zalewski now back in the lead of the GTE class. Let's see whether we can get a replay of that pass. There we go. So actually, I think there was one before that. It was Frederick Visch. Maybe not. Not sure what happened there. There we go. So it's Jorn van den Akker, the defensive driver, on, or the closest to your screen as they go by now, and then on the brakes in towards Lecombe, Jakub Zalewski on the inside. There you go, textbook overtake and position made, and they've slowly started to extend the gap, half a second between the pair of them now. So there's a bit of daylight starting to work their way in between them, much like the lead overall. However, look at this battle here across the line. This is Jason Ashfield in the number 19 on the right hand side, Martin Deckins on the left hand side, the number 22 for Dynamics Pepys up the inside at La Source, and then puts his foot to the floor and builds that gap nicely. But much like the GTE battle, back up to the very front, this gap slowly starting to extend out. However, on the Kemmel Straight, you can see the gap once again starts to come down, just due to the nature of the draft on these LMP2 cars. But as it stands for the moment, the race is slowly, well, I say that as we look at another battle. These two have swapped positions once and again, and they've decided, well, we'll do it again. But for the moment, the race is slowly starting to quieten down, and the drivers are starting to think about the long haul. Like you mentioned, these two still side by side.
Yeah, they're not thinking about the long game, are they? They want the positions right now, immediately. Jason Ashfield, the number 19 car, having to go defensive, and I think that we might have seen just before the run into sort of Eau Rouge Radion, Jason Ashfield gave up the position, knowing that the long Kemmel Straight was coming up, take that position back nice and cleanly. So now Jason just needs to focus on having the clear air, managing to build the gap. Obviously, Martin Deckins will be hampered a bit by the dirty air disturbing the airflow around the car. He loses quite a lot of downforce in these LMP2 cars, which is basically the main reason why the car's able to go so fast, is all of the downforce that you can get running a bit loose actually from the rear, just as we left the shot, because you're seeing Peter Lemkens trying to get ahead of Luke Tees. Luke Tees says, no thank you, I'm going to be taking that position, thank you very much. Up into 9th position in class, 23rd overall, so it's a large field we've got here, and I don't think we've actually been able to shine a lot of just the sheer amount of participation we've been getting here for the first, well, I don't know if it's a championship round or if it's sort of the prologue, shall we say, for the DynamiXX Racing Simulators endurance series. But this has been a great turnout, and up the front in the GT3 field now, starting to heat up between Matthias De Haan and Kevin Unk. We saw actually the DSCDA esports car, I think it won the COTA 24 hours in their class in GT3, so they're going to be hoping to try and make it back-to-back endurance wins.
That is always the goal. However, they are going to have some very fierce competition. Matthias de Heen from Manatee Racing. We've seen Manatee Racing here at Sim Racers World a fair few times before. Sim Racers World GT Pro, Sim Racers World GT Evo, both of course sponsored by Porsche Sport. And Manatee did very well in their various classes there. I think Job de Ligt, one of the Manatee drivers, actually won the championship, so they clearly come with intent, and they definitely don't let down. However, I don't think it's going to be an easy drive for them today either. Kevin Onk for DSCDA, like you say, he's got that experience only a few weeks ago, also behind the wheel of one of the Audi R8, so he definitely knows what he's doing, and it's showing for the moment. Matthias de Heen not managing to shake off the attentions of the number 28 machine, and the gaps have slowly started to open up. The closest gap we've got on the road is the one we're looking at the moment between Matthias de Heen. However, up the road, this is Luc Peace in the number 26 machine, once again losing time to Peter Lemkins, as is the nature of the Spa circuit. Like you say, if you let somebody through at the source, you'll probably get them back before Les Combes. Through a Rouge over Radion onto the Camel Straight, through Camel Corner, and that Ferrari, whether he's just eased off, had a slightly slower run through Radion, I'm not sure, but he's lost a little bit of time there, and once again, it's starting to open up, which probably isn't ideal for general racing. We've got GTEs working their way back up through the order. LMP2's already lapping the GT3 traffic.
Yeah, they're just so much faster, aren't they, the LMPs? They've just got oodles of pace and speed in their arsenal just to come through, but this is the sort of the scariest bit of the race, I think, if you are an LMP car, and if you're in fact any car on the track, which is the first time when they come through to laps. We see a replay of what's happened to Dennis Loops.
Yeah, so Dennis Loops towards the bus stop, gets hit from behind into the Armco, over he goes onto his roof, sliding very quickly, thankfully ends up shiny side up and gets going again. Who was that? I might have to slow that down just so we can see the number. That was the number 16 machine by the looks of it, and that is, let's just have a quick look over. It is Cedric Wouters. So Cedric claiming a victim there, and that was the Fast R Racing team ending up on their roof. Now in the pit lane, how is Cedric Wouters getting on? He's going on like nothing happened. A little bit of damage on the front left of that LMP2 car, however, so he might start to lose time to Jordan McLean. We've had another incident for Olivier Van Herk. What has happened here into the bus stop LMP2?
Oh, come on.
I guess it's a bit late. At the end of the day, Olivier Van Herk, he was always going to go for the apex, but then that's just the nature. When you've got three LMP2s all coming towards the GT3, you're always going to find difficulty trying to negotiate some traffic, but that is just the nature of endurance racing, sadly. But getting these few mistakes done and out the way early hopefully means that towards the end of the race we should end up with some very close, very clean racing.
I prefer if they didn't make the mistakes at all. It's so early in the race. You've got 6 hours to go, and oh my word, they're still going hammer and tongs at it. Jesse Hendricks trying to go around the outside. You need to just calm it down, lads, because it's going to end in tears sooner rather than later. The number 6 car doing the smart thing, getting out of Jesse's way. I think they're just treating it a bit too aggressively. I know it's in the early phase of the race where you want to make the positions, get the clear air, but I don't think it's worth the risk. You've got plenty of time to get up there. When you get your strategy starting to come into place, that's when you get the clear air and you can just negotiate traffic nicely by yourself. You don't have these big packs, because that's the most dangerous thing, is when you have cars fighting for position, also having to negotiate traffic. That's when we see these accidents starting to happen. As I say that, there's another collision. Big de Blick colliding with the I think that's Digisborn. Yes, that is horribly mispronounced, that name, so apologies for the number 6 car. I'll just refer to it as number 6. I think that's something that's easier to do. I'm having a look around the field as well, and I think Jordan McLean's not actually dropped back too much from Marcus Deck. Still the gap of around about a second, but it's the Technicolor Simpact car. In fact, no, it's not. Jordan McLean's dropped back, and it's actually Cedric Wouters that's close to Jordan McLean. That was my mistake. And Jordan McLean in the Technicolor LMP2 car. It's a lovely livery, isn't it, that the Simpact cars bring out. And I'm having a look further back for his teammate. Hasser almost gained up 2 positions from the start, up into 6th place.
He has indeed, Haas clearly being the pesky one on the overlay as well. I've tried everything in the background to get Haas's overlay showing up as it should, but it's just not. So clearly Haas's commentator's curse has infected my SDK for today. And yeah, like you say, he's really doing well. Up 2 positions, Hendrik de Graaf behind him, up 5 positions. And I'm not sure whether the DSCDA Esports red entry was the car at the back of the grid. If they were, it makes sense. Up 30 positions, and that is just not any old 30 positions. That was through GT3s, through GTEs, and then past 2 other LMPs. So the number 6 car's on an absolute charge.
Yeah, maybe try and do things a bit smarter, maybe trying to stay back, keep out of the fights at the front of the field, and then just stay out of trouble, because obviously we did see some dramas going through Eau Rouge and Raidillon, which is often the case in these Spa endurance races. In fact, Spa sprint races, you always see incidents and accidents going through there when the cars are so tightly packed together. But the number 34 car, I think, was going to set up a move. We're going to see, yes, side by side, the number 6 car losing out, and I think that's Victor Blick coming on through now into the bus stop, and he's going to be unchallenged, I think, under the brakes. But that means that the Blick will be under massive pressure coming out of La Source and probably down the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, so for the moment, Victor Blick is the lead car, and the number 6 chasing on. However, there's a bit of traffic in front. The Sim Racers World Esports entry just up the road. It's a very big gap between the pair of them now, so I think that might not come down to much. This is an incident earlier on. Hard hit into the wall for Joel Eulenbroek in the Raidillon Motorsport by QSR2 BMW into the tyre barrier. Who else was it? Oh, and into the pit wall. Who else was it that was involved? Was it? No, I think it was Peter Lemkins. It was in the number 81 for RP Motorsport. Maybe slightly too late on the brakes into the tail end of Joel Eulenbroek, and that just put him into the tyre barrier. Hopefully not too much damage from the first incident, maybe a little bit more from the second. You can see the front of that BMW M8 looking very second hand already, so lots of damage building up very early on, only 20 minutes into this 6-hour event. So for the moment it's been pretty rough and tumble, lots of trading paint and a few little bits of door-to-door contact. We've already had a car on its roof, so hopefully they've just got their worth now. They've gone, right, okay, we've done all the incidents. I know we don't like to have them, but we've got them done, got them out of the way, and hopefully we can go to the end without too many. However, we know what these guys are like. They love racing closely, and sometimes there's a bit of a side product from that. You end up with a bit of contact.
Yeah, I think you said that they were going to start cooling down, and then we did see that car on its roof, so maybe they'll listen to you this time, Jack. We'll see, though, because Sven Janssens is going to have Casper Menges Andersen for company, and as well, I think Steven Valest is up in the mix as well, yes, so we can see 2 Porsches and a BMW streaking their way on the Kemmel Straight, closing in. It's going to be a late move on the brakes, or just about gets through, I think. That was Sven Janssens, and he's going to lose out because he's too late on the brakes. Oh, there's collision. Oh, Jack, they're not listening to you. You said they were going to try and calm it down, but immediately we see massive collision between Casper Menges Andersen, the race team, or RAC 37EAM, if you'd pronounce it that way, colliding with Sven Janssens, the GHK E-Racing car.
Yeah, it's not what we like to see. Like you say, just another incident adding to the books. Very busy day for the race steward. You can see in the background Sven Janssens furious with Steven Valest flashing his light. He's really not happy with that.
Couldn't blame him, to be fair. Who could blame him?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. It was, Casper Menges Andersen that just elbowed him towards the Armco. So another incident adding up. I think we've had another one elsewhere as well. This is back to the GT3 field. A very sideways moment for the number 40 BMW from Revolution Racing Bravo. Grabs reverse just to try and keep it out the wall and gets back going again. Thankfully he's on the outside, so hopefully there shouldn't be any traffic approaching where he should rejoin. Gets back going again, a fairly innocent incident for himself. We saw, I just looked over a few moments ago, that Robin Daniels was catching onto the tail end of Luc Dies, and that gap has massively opened up now as well, and that's something I wanted to bring up. Pretty much everywhere we look in the GTE field, if we look up at the front, there's a Porsche. If we look at sort of the midway through, there's a Porsche. If we look towards the back, there's a Porsche. So the GTEs really dominated by Porsche, and much like the GT3 is dominated by Audi and Mercedes. Do you think it's just the teams have gone, right, okay, this car's quicker here, these two cars are quicker, so we've got to decide which one to have? Is that sort of the thinking that some of these teams might have carried in?
Yeah, as well, I tend to drive the Porsche in GTE, and it's a very stable platform of a car. You really get a nice feeling of the car under brakes and the high-speed corners, which is really playing into the strengths of a car around this Spa-Francorchamps circuit. It's such a nice platform. It's one that's easily set up for endurance racing, whereas the BMWs are more, I think, sprint focused. The tyres don't seem to last as long as the Porsches. Plus, I think the Porsches, even though they are naturally aspirated, are surprisingly good on fuel economy. So that's probably another thing to think about. Although I haven't seen any Fords, which we know how strong they are on fuel economy. It's surprising not to see them, but we're going to focus now on some battling further up. Hendrik de Grave in the Flemish Simsports car, going to the inside, trying to defend from Martin Dekkens in the DynamiXX car, but the DynamiXX car is going to be ahead into Les Combes and get through nice and cleanly. This is the sort of racing you want to be seeing. Nice and clean passes, nothing too untoward going on, and then they're going to come through Bruxelles, get around the GTE. I was to say, from that GT is looking very stricken. What one was that? I think we saw them having incidents earlier on, and they're just trying to nurse it through into the pit lane. And I believe I think they have a fast repair for this race, but I think it's only the one.
Yeah, so like you say, only the one fast repair available to them. So the drivers have got to decide when they take them. If you end up on your roof, like we've seen, it's probably best to take your fast repair just so you can, you've got a fresh car and there's no major damage, because you've got to decide, yes, although you think you can drive it, are you a danger to the other drivers? And at that point, that sort of that gives you a reason to take that fast repair very early on. It's not what you like to do. If like the ideal option would be you don't ever have to use the fast repair. You get to the end and you don't need it, and sometimes some of the teams use that to their advantage. Going into the final hour, they take the fast repair anyway, just so they can go for fastest lap or something like that. But I've got a feeling we're going to be running low on fast repairs the closer we get towards the end of this race, as we've already seen what the drivers want to do. We've seen a couple of cars on their roof, a couple of cars very sideways, and some very sportsman-like driving here, there and everywhere. We've seen some very close battles, and we've seen some have gone a bit too close, trading a bit of body work and paint. Is that a car peeling its way into the pit lane? I think that was Jo Eulenbroek. It was indeed, for Radeon Motorsport by QSR, coming into the pit lane early on. We know that car's got damage after hitting the tyre wall at the end of the start-finish straight, so let's hope he can continue on. This is Luc Thies defending from Robin Daniels and United Motorsport, so these two have come back together again. They were close together at the start of the race, separated, and then whether it's just a small mistake from Luc Thies to put him back in the firing line of Robin Daniels, I don't know, but it seems like we've got a nice little battle on our hands. If I can put my teeth back in, we've got a nice little battle on our hands.
Yes, this is great to see. Finally, the cars are starting, I think, now to build up the gaps around themselves, which is meaning that we're not seeing too many dramatic moments, especially with faster cars not able to make their way through battling packs. But we can see, I think that is one of the Abruzzi cars now having to go through, and in fact, I think I can see it's the Werrell Abruzzi car. Is that the leader of the race? No, that's not. That is 22nd DynamiXX Pebbies just going through this fight. And does that open the door potentially for Robin Daniels? It seems, oh, he's going to have a chance now going through the Fania chicane. Is he going to go around the outside? Yes, he is. So being aided by traffic, Robin Daniels was able to make that move, just got the better run down through Huon, or Double Gauche, however you would pronounce it. It's got many names of corners, this circuit. It's difficult to try and pick just one, as Hans Pollmann goes down the one and only Kemmel Straight, trying now to fight with the number 5. Is there going to be contact on turn-in, though? They give each other just enough space. Hans now gets the inside, but that's going to turn to the outside, and I think he's going to try and focus more on getting a good run into Bruxelles, but he's not going to get there. That's going to be covered off down the inside by the number 5. That is similar like Yagizulu, just managing to hold on, but it was touch and go there if he was, because that Audi was looking mightily racy into Les Combes.
Was indeed. That position was made by the book pretty much. Here is Sven Calbert in the background, working his way up past Ross Nicholson in the SimStickers Racing Red GT3. So Sven Calbert, obviously with that incident at the start, carving his way back up through the order, trying to get back with his fellow GTEs. And just looking at that, you can see the GT3s, the Audis and the Mercedes, they've got very bright headlights. However, that Corvette, it almost looks rather stealthy, and the headlights aren't really bright at all. If you weren't looking for them, you won't really notice them. So will that play an effect sometimes with the visibility of the car behind? We know that 9 times out of 10, if you are in one of the slower cars, or you're in the GTE, for example, the middle class, you've got to worry about cars approaching you, but you've also got to try and approach cars as smoothly and as predictable as possible. So that could maybe play a part in terms of visibility from other cars. We do have weather available to view, just ticking past 20 to 6 in the evening, so we will be going into the night. So let's hope that the Dynamics Racing Endurance Corvette does get some lights on pretty soon, so we can see that going into the night. 29 degree track temperature, so the track's slowly starting to get cooler from now, which means it will only get quicker and quicker and quicker, and quicker means more grip and more closer battles. And for the moment, it looks like you can't really get much closer than this. This is Frederick Verviche for Dynamics by WMS, number 15, mounting a challenge on the number 6 in towards Buon. It looks like the number 6 will carry the extra momentum through there, and that's just traffic slowly starting to play a part. However, look at the run the number 15 has got in towards Piff Paff, or later on the brakes, and there you go, position made. Or is it? Yeah, there you go. As soon as he grabbed the apex, there was no longer an overlap, and Frederick Verviche up into 13th place. But how long this lasts, I'm not 100% sure, Ed, because we know that the draft can play a massive part, and now on the run up towards Blanchimont through Stavelot could mean that Frederick Verviche is once again vulnerable.
Yeah, and I'm seeing as well, there's close fighting at the front end of the LMP2 fight, because I think Cedric Wouters and Robbie Janssens, or in fact there's a three-way train now, and this is for the bottom of the podium. Cedric Wouters just ahead, Robbie Janssens under massive pressure, Keanu Bilkenburg just behind. He's going to go now to the inside, the Flemish Simsports car up into 4th place under the brakes. Is he going to get it stopped in time? Just about. Robbie Janssens, the Fast Racing Gold car, lovely liveries on display. We've got 2 of the prettiest liveries on circuit. I think the, as ever, beautiful Flemish Simsports white car, but then the Fast Racing Gold car, Robbie Janssens. Look at the nice use of spec maps there. I'm sure if our tech wizard Chaz Draycott's watching, he will be absolutely salivating over this spec map usage.
He will be indeed. He is a massive fan of a spec map, and I know that me and him share very similar opinions on that beautiful Flemish Simsports livery. Done a great job at Flemish Simsports to get that livery together. Look at this. This is slowly starting to play a part. Traffic once again. Keanu Bourguignon cutting through the traffic, nearly mounting a challenge on Cedric Wouters. He's just set the fastest Sector 1 of the entire race as Keanu Bourguignon, so making his intentions known. Cedric Wouters carrying that damage from the earlier incident with the Fast Racing Audi. Those two coming together. The Audi suddenly ending up on its roof very early on in this race. Half an hour into the race already, so a fair bit of time has gone, but behind the wheel, I'm sure the time has just gone by like a blur, as Cedric Wouters, he's really got his mirrors full at the moment. Keanu Bourguignon definitely there and making his intentions known. As Keanu Bourguignon gains on the Traxxas eSports number 16 machine, he's bringing Robbie Janssens back with him as well. So this three-way battle, it's definitely not going away.
It certainly isn't now. They got the source to go, and it's all about trying to get the good run through this slow right-hander and then getting the good run onto the throttle, because you can't get wheels.
Are you still with us, Ed? I think we lost you there midway through the sentence, so we hope that you are still with us, of course. It's been a change of position up the road. Look at that, Keanu Bourguignon splitting Cedric Wouters, and I think that was the Fast Racing Audi there.